enter one and pass the cloudy door where wonderful things will happen that the world has never seen before.
In Dexter's laboratory lives the dopest nerd you've ever seen. One day he smoked some cannabis and had a dream. What if he could sesh with fandom's best in Dexter's Dab?
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Nerdy Stoner Podcast with your favorite huggable stoner, Dexter, aka Stash Tokum. And I am joined by another amazing, awesome blurred in the community, Miss Brooke Finehouse. How are you doing today?
I am great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Brooke and I actually have had the chance to connect at BlurredCon a few times. I've been to her panel, Career Coaching for the Culture, many times, and every time I go to it, I learn something new and walk away with more knowledge and inspiration and just resources to, further along my job search. But today, I figured I'd bring her on here so that she can, share her knowledge with you guys because the more people that can connect with her, the better. Because trust me, you want to know what she has to say. But before we go any further, let's, first talk about you and how you got this amazing thing started.
Well, I feel like I caught some lucky breaks. I am an Army veteran, and when I got out, they helped me with the resume, and I was applying. I think I applied to like 300 jobs, and I could not find anything. And then I decided like I might as well be productive with my time, so I joined roller derby league. And one of my connections there was a recruiter, and she looked at my resume and said it was terrible. Um, and that's kind of where all this came from because she taught me what it should look like. And then as people sent me their resume so I can get them jobs, I was like, well, your resume is terrible too. So here's what we're going to do. So I've kind of been doing this for since 2012, I think is when I started. And then over the years, I've been working on different ways to make this as efficient as possible so I can help as many folks as possible.
Nice, nice. And what's the journey been like helping people? Like, I'm sure you've met and talked to all different types, helped people get into all different types of careers and different positions and everything.
I really enjoy finding or like discovering new career paths. Like right now, based on this last BlurCon, I met someone who works in meteorology.
Hmm.
And I think that's super cool because I mean, the weather is necessary, right? So, but it's
Yes.
never crossed my mind to think what that looks like in a career path. So that's been a really fun adventure. Yeah, I've met people from all walks of life and all different career paths and all interests, right? Because some people want to be like a CEO or a vice president, and other people just want to pay their bills and go home. So I mean, I respect
Yes.
it.
Yes, paying bills is important.
Yeah.
What have been like some of the challenges you faced, along this path, or maybe some reoccurring ones that you find keep coming up that you're, hoping to find like a nice solution to someday?
I am trying to help as many people as possible. And that has been my challenge. When I started doing this, I was writing resumes for people. And a good resume, I always say, takes 8 to 10 hours. So when I have 10
Wow.
people that I want to help, and, I was making not a lot of money. So I was doing a lot of overtime, then writing resumes. I wasn't able, like, it was like I could help two people at a time maximum.
Hmm.
And BlurCon actually was the venue that the light bulb went off, and I was like, I could help multiple people at the same time. So it took a really long time to get there, and I'm still working out the kinks. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm really grateful to BlurCon because that really totally changed the game and how I navigate.
Nice. How was that first panel like? I mean, I remember it from my perspective. I learned a lot. I thought it was
You were
awesome.
there. Um, I was nervous and I talk to people all day, every day, right? I work in HR, but it's very different when it's your own community because I didn't want people to walk out of there and be all like, oh man, she sucks. So, um, I mean, I'm glad that wasn't the case, right? But I was really, really nervous. And it's stuff I talk about all day, every day. But, standing in front of people is a little different, especially in cosplay.
Yes. I get that. A lot of eyes on you, not just what you're presenting, but also what you're, I guess,
Yep,
also presenting.
exactly.
But being a blurred, you have found ways to like incorporate your nerdy side into a lot of not only your resumes but other people's resumes. Like you in uh slight spoiler, for your panel, but you put Dothraki on your resume, right? That
It
was like
is. It is
something
still
that
on there.
helped you. Like that's
Yes.
awesome.
I love working in the tech space. So I got an interview with the company that normally I didn't really think I was gonna get. But I always say apply for everything. And they interviewed me, and the hiring manager was like, I had to see you and I had to meet you because he's like, I've never seen Dothraki on a resume before. And we had a whole Game of Thrones conversation and we talked about season 8. They ended up going with someone else, but they brought me back for a contract. So I think it was like 15 grand off working with them. And it was because I had
Sweet.
Dothraki on my resume. So it was great.
Look at that, y'all. See, putting your nerdiness out there, it can also help you land a job, not as well as or as well as meet, friends and other stuff like that. Like you never
Mhm.
know who's looking.
Absolutely.
So, and of course, I gotta ask you, like, what are some nerdy things that you're into right now? Like, what are you watching? What are you playing?
Ooh.
What are you
So
reading?
it's been mostly TV right now. I've been working a lot, and my focus has been on trying to figure out how to make this business as efficient as possible. But I love a good mystery. So I don't know if it's like super nerdy, but I've watched The Residents, and I really love a good competitive reality TV show. So
Okay.
like The Trust on Netflix was great. There's a $1 Million Secret was pretty good. I love those things. So hopefully one day you'll see me on one of those. I'm convinced I can win $1 million. I might be delusional, but I'm gonna give it a try. Why not?
Hey, I believe in you.
Thank you.
Did you watch the Mr. Beast games?
I didn't. My daughter watched it and she said that I should. But again, I'm delusional. So I'd go on there and be like, I could totally do it. Because I was convinced I could do Squid Games, right? I was like, if that was real, I would totally survive to the end. I would not. There's too much running.
I mean, he did his version of Squid Games too, so maybe he'll do it again.
Yeah, again, the running is a no for me. But in spirit, absolutely. Totally.
All right, I got you. Well, back to the um job help. Like I know there are a lot of things that people have asked you at not only at your panels, but I'm sure like you also have your services that you offer out, and you get a lot of like emails and stuff from people. What are like some, I guess, some common things that you might hear from a lot of people, or as far as like advice that they might need on? Well, I guess there's going to be different things. So let's just start with this. Like, what are some of your like top tips for resumes in general?
Ooh. I say quantify everything.
Hmm.
Don't lie. You can exaggerate, but don't lie. Because there's some
Hmm.
people that say they were the general manager at Payless. Guess what? Payless is coming back and you're screwed. So think about, you know what I mean? You can exaggerate a little bit, but never lie. Um, yeah, quantify, exaggerate, never lie, and just put the same thought you'd put into like a dating profile. That's
Hmm.
like my hot take always. If you don't put effort into your dating profile, you get what you're looking for. So,
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, finding a job can be a lot like dating.
mhm.
Sometimes they bite and sometimes they not.
Exactly. And sometimes it looks good and then you get there and you're like, "Oh, no."
Yeah, catfish. Mm.
Mhm.
What about tips for including like transferable skills onto your resume? Like, say somebody, let me think of something. Um, say somebody, their job was to just look up, I don't know, records of like shoe inventory and stuff like that. What type
Mhm.
of career do you think they could use inventory management to transition into? Like something that maybe somebody hasn't thought of.
Data analytics, there's not a huge gap
Ooh.
there, and that's great money. Um, I'm always focused on like what's going to get someone like the biggest gap in income. That's always
Hmm.
my default because I'm a single parent and that's, my priority right now. And
Yes.
then after that is quality of life. But data analytics would be great. Um, anything administrative, anything that requires maybe even project management, depending on how large the inventory is. And
Hmm.
all of those things have like they don't require a degree necessarily in that, but like
Hmm.
project management has the PMP, data analytics, you can take a couple courses and like be ready to apply for those. So they're not hard to get into.
Oh, okay, nice. Listen up, y'all. See, she's dropping gems. I'm telling you. How about someone maybe transitioning out of the hospitality service industry, something like that? So I know it can be
Ooh,
sometimes be hard to, if you've been working at a restaurant or restaurants, I should say, because that's a revolving door. I've been in it. It's you hop around a lot. Um,
mhm.
like what type of skills or jobs would you say somebody could do with that?
I always say that hospitality and retail workers can do absolutely anything. That's actually what got me started in looking into transferable skills and really highlighting that for folks because I worked in HR for retail. So when we were looking for people, right? People, again, a lot of people came from the restaurant industry because I feel like there's like I don't want to say a hierarchy, right? But it's like, okay, restaurants are crazy stressful and hospitality is really stressful. And it's like retail's a little less stressful because the store got to close eventually.
Hmm.
So we got a lot of that. And it's learning to work under that type of pressure is something that not enough people have.
Hmm.
That in and of itself, I mean, there's a wide range of things. Anything from something more, if you want to lead more structured, there's like defense agencies that would be happy to, because things are always happening, or like air traffic control, if you decide you want to go to school for that, right? Like that's a soft skill that
Huh.
it's a leap. But I mean, it's if you want to balance out that, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the education piece of that, like that soft skill is incredibly difficult to find. So like once you put that to work, I think there's a lot of people in that space who don't leave that space, but
Hmm.
there's so much opportunity.
Yes. I think what is it? Like getting to a higher level of pay, or just a better job in general. It's not a ladder. It's a zigzag. I think that's what they
Yes.
say. Because
Mm-hmm.
chances, I think, is actually a statistic that says staying at a job for more than you might have actually said this, more than 2 years,
Yep.
you're guaranteed to actually lose money over time,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to making more because you're like, okay, I'm gonna get, that raise after I've been here for like X amount of time, and they're gonna give me like a 0.5%
Yep.
increase.
Get like 50% raises. That breaks my heart every time I have to see that. But yeah, always be prepared. Always have one foot out of the door. That's why I tell people like update your resume. When you're having a bad day at work and you hate your boss, like that's when you want to take note of all the things
Hmm.
that you do. Because that's usually when you're like, I do this and I do that, and no one appreciates me here. Make that list and update your resume. Because in that way, you'll find something a lot easier on your next go around.
Nice. See, that venting is good for just more than getting your frustrations out. You can, you list out your potential skills.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right. Now, what about gaps in resumes? Because that's definitely a big thing, especially with what's happening in our country right now. A lot of people are losing their jobs. They've been doing one thing for, so long. They made a career out of it, and now they, are gonna have to transition to something else. But it might take a while for them to do that. So, what would you say to somebody that maybe it's, might be going through a resume gap right now, or might be going through one in the future?
I would say highlight your hobbies and stay focused on learning. So that way you have some kind of documented transferable skills.
Hmm.
Um, I always say that all of your experience doesn't need to be paid. So if you're unemployed and you're volunteering at your church and you're doing like social media for the church, that goes on your resume. You don't
Hmm.
need to specify if something's been paid or not. Or if you're at a soup kitchen and you're organizing those type of events, okay, you're an event planner. It's like it's not a as big of a leap. I think people feel they need to have a degree in it and work in it for several years, but sometimes you give yourself a title.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It does feel like, especially with a lot of these job postings out here, that want you to have like 10, 12, 15 years of experience for an entry level position. It can seem a little like, oh well, why should I even bother applying? So it's definitely nice to hear like that. It's just all about perspective, how you look at it, how you think about it.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to apply to something, even if you check half of the boxes, go for it and don't count yourself out. Because, like, social media, like us millennials that were on MySpace, that is a solid 20 years of social media experience. So
That's
don't
true.
write that off, right?
And
Like,
if you
we were
made your
doing
own post,
coding.
I was just about to say, yeah.
See? Exactly. Like, we have coding experience that we didn't even know we had. So
Mhm.
that's also on my resume as well. People are like, wow, you've been doing this for so long and you just look so young. I'm like, yes, because I started when I was 12. But they don't need to know that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you said, exaggerate but don't lie.
Exactly.
Nice. What about searching for jobs? Because I know for myself, Indeed and LinkedIn have been the main two sources, but yeah, your reaction right there says it all.
Yeah, I feel like those are good starter points. I suggest going directly to the company's website. So, something a lot of people don't know is that anybody can post a job on Indeed. You can go on Indeed and just post a job for anything. You can copy a job description and put it up there for yourself and have people apply to the job. So, there's a lot of fake jobs out there. There's a lot of jobs they'll post openings, but they're not actually hiring. They're trying to see what people are looking for and trying to gauge, like, okay, if we need to hire, how much do we pay this person? What kind of experience will we receive, that type of thing. So if you see a posting, go on their website and apply there. You'll get in quicker. And if you can, set up job alerts so that way you get in first, because it's kind of like a line, right? Like first come,
Yeah.
first serve. So if you're one of the first 50 people to apply, you are much more likely to be seen.
That makes sense because they're probably getting more applications through those third-party websites than through their actual website.
Yep.
So in
Especially
a
when it's
way,
long and drawn out. It's like an
yeah,
endurance thing.
yeah. In a way, it's kind of like they're using these other job posting websites as like research material as opposed to actually trying to find somebody.
Yeah. Sometimes you will. I think LinkedIn is probably better than Indeed, especially if you're connected to the right people. But, you know, companies are not quite operating the way they used to.
That is true. That is true. And speaking of connecting, you have mentioned networking in your presentations a lot too. Can you give well, I guess first things first, talk about the importance of networking because I've, learned from you and just from personal experience, like networking, it goes back to the old saying, it's not about what you know, but who you know. Like,
Absolutely. That used to bother me. I'm neurodivergent. I am an introvert. And I was like, I don't want to have to talk to people to get a job. Like, I know I'm good at what I do. Um, but I realized when I stopped thinking about it as I go to, a sketchy looking bar with a bunch of people in suits, and I realize I'm networking at BlurCon, like those type of things really changed how I approach networking,
mhm.
being in spaces that I like to be in and just kind of casually talking about work. I feel like that's like a really easy, like, oh, I hate my job, or oh, I'm still looking for work, or I just got my degree and like no one's hiring for this now. Those conversations come up really naturally, and I think that really helps place people. Because I think I've had, well, myself included, I've had two people placed based on my panels at BlurCon, like just interpersonally from like one person to another. I got my job because of two people that attended my panel 2 years ago.
That's awesome. That's what's up. See, put
Mhm.
yourself out there, connect with people. It can help you grow in more ways than you think, not just in the cosplay community or anything like that, but with actually, starting and maintaining a career.
Mhm.
Um, I was good. Actually, leads me to the next question. Like, what are some of the places that you suggest? Like, besides like going to a con or a bar. I know there are places like Afrotech that do different types of meetups and stuff like that
Yes.
for if you want to, jump into like the tech field.
Whatever you're interested in, I say chase it. Um, Even if it's something small, like with cosplayers. I mean, I know Joanne Fabric is going out of business, but like those type of spaces, if you have a local fabric store, like have conversations with those people, right? If you know that you go to a certain like whatever place to update the parts on your 3D printer, like have those conversations there because you never know who's connected to who. Like
Hmm.
that person, their uncle, cousin, whoever, may be looking for someone and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know you did that outside of cosplaying. Great. Like, let me get you an interview." And it really happens that quickly. It is really who you know. It's really who you know these days.
Nice. And do you also say the same could be done on like social media, like say, I don't know if you have some type of skill that you can actually show, like maybe you're an electrician or a coder or something like that. You could
Absolutely.
maybe
Hmm.
record
For sure.
simple how-to videos, and that you could actually could put that on your resume too, right? Like
Yep.
to something
If you
like
have
that.
a
Like,
YouTube channel, yep. I'm working with someone right now. And she has a degree in history and her interest is in history and she has a really dope YouTube channel, and that's kind of what I've been using like to share her information. Like I'm like, hey, I know some people in academia, like let me share this information, and just sharing her YouTube alone, people like that is really cool. I don't have anything right now, but I will keep her in mind. So at minimum I got her a few follows.
nice, and that's an easy way to like just share something too, because we live in the day and age where a lot of people unfortunately don't like to read and they're more visual. So it could be easy, like, hey, here's this person like doing the thing that you
Mhm.
are looking for. So yeah, here you go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing how I just thought about that. Like, that's amazing how we're using YouTube and stuff to find jobs now too. Or you just never even know. Like, somebody could just happen to stumble across your video and be like, "Oh, hey, I need you for a job or something."
That's actually great motivation for me. Maybe I need to post more. Thank you for that.
Of course, happy to help. All right, and of course we gotta talk about some weediness in this too. Now I know that you cannot partake right now, but you've had some experience in the past. Like, what has been your past experience with cannabis, using it growing up? Like, yes, starting out, like, what was your first time like getting high?
Ooh, was in high school. Don't tell my kid. Um, and I felt like I was around it enough to know what to expect, and I was like, "I'm gonna make this look so cool." I did not. I thought I was gonna die. I was coughing so hard. I was like, "This is it. This is how I go out. They're gonna bring my body back to my parents, and I'm gonna smell like weed, and then they're gonna be so disappointed." I made it out alive, obviously, but it was at that point that I learned that smoke may not be it for me, but edibles, which was my next experience. I was like, "This is it. This is where I'm at." It mixes, the good stuff with baked goods, which I also
Hmm.
love. So that's that's my story. And I do miss it. So at some point I'll be going back. I can't wait.
Nice, nice. Well, hopefully we get to partake together when you do.
Yes.
I'll make you some good goodies.
Oh, that would be amazing. You have a wonderful reputation, by the way. It comes up
Thank
and I'm like, I know someone, and it's like they tag you before I do. I'm like, okay. Very
you.
impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I try. I try. There's actually going to be a cook-off coming up in July. It's a CBD cook-off.
Ooh,
It's going to
I
be
think I
in
can do
Baltimore, July
in my neck
13th.
of the woods.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Be
I'll
there.
send you. I'll send you details about it.
Cool. Thank you.
Nice. Now, you are a veteran, and I know that especially today and where we are right now, there are a lot of veterans that are, using cannabis to fight with their pain that they might have experienced from, being deployed or something like that, to PTSD, to all types of things. Like, I'm sure you can agree, like not just veterans, but people in the military as well could benefit from this. Like, what's maybe like something you would like to see happen in the future with that? Not just being like, okay, you can use it. Here you go. Like maybe having some type of structure or doctors that know their shit about it.
That would be wonderful. I do feel like the military as a whole is behind when it comes to all things natural.
Mhm.
So that would be fantastic. I have never been a big drinker, but alcohol is huge in the military community. So I think if we made a little bit more of a balance, right, between like weed and alcohol, I think a lot of veterans and even active duty soldiers would be in a much better place. Because there's a lot of DUIs, a lot of alcohol related incidents. Um, and I'm not a fan. Alcohol doesn't do it for me. So, but I think that would be leaning elsewhere would be very helpful for the community.
Nice. Yeah, I agree because I've partied with my fair share of military people, and they they are some bottomless pits. I can say that.
Saying. Ugh, I was always the DD, so I was dragging grown men into cars and the back of taxis, and yeah,
Damn. Wow. Well, I am happy that those days are behind you and you don't have to do that anymore.
me too. I'm still DD at BlurCon, but it's okay.
Yeah. Hey, you're the responsible friend. We need them.
I am. I am.
Do you have any cons coming up in the future or any presentations?
Um, I am working on a list of virtual ones because some people couldn't make it to BlurCon with the time of year change. So stay tuned. They will be on my website, Career Coaching for the Culture. I plan to have probably a handful more throughout the rest of the year. Live cons, probably not. I think I'm going to keep that exclusive to BlurCon because
Okay.
usually when I do them, I charge, and then like BlurCon related folks get a
Mm-hmm.
discount or it's free. So sign up for my newsletter as well. So that's where the BlurCon folks get their little extra something special.
Nice. Yep. See, pay attention. All right. Now, of course, we have to also get to some nerdy stoner questions as well, not just nerdy slash weed. All right. First things first. One character or person, real, alive, dead, fake, whoever that you would love to sesh with, who would it be and why?
I feel like my default is always gone. I feel like that's my
Oh,
alter
okay.
ego. Um, And then, my cosplay, I'm Jamaican, so I don't call him Gon, I call him Guan. So he's Guan Freaks. Um, and I feel like that just all connects really well. Um, yeah, that would be ideal for sure.
Man,
And
could
throw
you
Killua
imagine?
in there too.
Of course, you can't have Gone without Killua.
Right.
Could you imagine weed in the Hunter x Hunter universe? Like, okay, imagine somebody they develop Nen, but their Nen is specifically used for gardening. Like the
It has to
stuff that
exist.
they could grow.
It has to. I'm sure it's there. I'm sure that's what what's his name? Ging Jing, that's what he's been out doing all of these years. He abandoned his son and got lost in the woods somewhere. That's what it is.
You know what? I could absolutely see him doing that. He just he went out there, he got high, was like, wait, I have a son? Oh, I have a
Right.
son.
The worst.
Oh, that brings me to my next one. Who do you think would be the worst to get high with?
Like anyone,
Hmm. Character, real, anyone you can think of. Any you can do even do multiple people.
I feel like anyone who has nervous energy. Like those are like not the people I want to be around when I'm high.
Now I get that.
So I feel like there's a long list for me, but those are all real people who may or may not be watching. So yeah, no nervous energy. Keep it there.
Do you think of any fictional people?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. I was just talking about Minetta from my hero, no. That'd be a hard no for me, for sure.
Yeah, that would be that'd be weird. I don't
Yeah, he'd
even
be a no.
I feel like he would do something to try to get one of his little balls stuck to the blunt or something like that. He would
Just
pull some.
everything. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was talking about. I'm like, and then the balls are sticky, and I just no, all the way across the board. He's a no for me.
Okay. Uh, who do you think would be the best fictional plug? Like you need it, they're there, they got you.
It's got to be like Shaggy and Scooby. I feel.
Okay, nice.
You know what I
Those
mean?
are always
Like,
going to have that good.
yeah, like in the van. So I know it's. You know what I mean? I don't have to like leave my house. I feel like they make deliveries. Feel that solid.
You know, they might even double it up and bring you some food too.
That sounds like a great business model. If no one's doing that yet, I highly suggest that.
You heard it here
That'd be a
first.
great food truck. I will
Pay us
be.
for money.
Listen,
Right. Last but certainly not least, what about a fictional place you would like to go get high at or in?
definitely Greed Island. I'm a, obviously
Ooh,
Hunter is my
okay.
favorite. Greed Island would be amazing. I feel like the last my dreams are Greed Island adjacent. Or anywhere in that universe, I think would be fun. I really enjoyed the Hunter's Test. Um, Again, aside from that run, you know, I'd be moving very slowly, but everything else, count me in.
Nice. How did you know about the real life hunters exam? Did you hear about that? You didn't know?
I had no clue. Is it like a regular thing or was it like a one off?
So the first one happened this year. It was last month. And it was originally supposed to be in DC, but then they moved it someplace like slightly deep in Virginia. I
Oh,
think it was like maybe a couple hours away or so, but yeah, it was a real life hunter's exam. They had the run. There was like a deception thing. There was like a physical battle aspect to it where you like were on a balance beam with those batons. You had to knock your opponent off.
ooh, that I could do.
They pretty much recreated it, minus all the superpowers and stuff. There was even a portion, I believe,
Dope.
where you got to like steal your target's badge.
Ooh. Okay, maybe I'll start running again. I'll suck it up for that.
There's a
That'll be like a
spectator.
one time only event.
There's a spectator portion too, if you just want to watch.
Okay, maybe I'll watch first and then I'll run later. We'll see. But that is really dope. I definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, I'm happy I started working out again because I'm like, okay, you know what? Next year if they do it again, I'll be down. I want to try this. We'll see if I can get my hunter's license.
Oh my god, that'd be so obsessed.
They
Obsessed.
had a portal too where you get to access certain. I don't know, but
The dark
they
web,
yeah probably.
basically. That's what I always assumed that was. Like they had access to the dark web. That's kind of what I took from that.
I mean, yeah, basically that's that. Yeah, I see that.
Mhm.
So, well, this has been awesome. Thank you for being on here with me. Thank you for talking to me, sharing your knowledge, helping out the good people, letting them know that not all is lost in these dark times that we're in right now, but there is
Yes.
light at the end of this tunnel.
There is always light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't seem like it, but one foot in front of the other. It's how I keep myself motivated.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course. One last thing. Please let people know where they can find you, where they can, get help from you, all that good stuff.
Instagram is at Career Coaching for the Culture. The website is careercoachingfortheculture.com. Um, Everything will be on the website. If it says coming soon, you feel free to give me a poke on Instagram or my email is there on the site. Right now, I'm a one person operation, but I'm working on changing that.
Nice, nice. Yes, definitely hit her up. You will not be disappointed. Um, she's worth the wait. if it takes a second to get back to you. Like you said, she's only one person. But yes, thanks for being on here, Brooke. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Of course. All right, folks. Until next time, Dexter, Brooke. See y'all later.